In 2014, a janitor from Vermont passed away at 92 years of age. Nothing really remarkable about that. He had attended high school, served in the military during World War II, and then went on to work as a gas attendant, a mechanic, and eventually a janitor with J.C. Penney. He married and had 2 kids. But what shook the town and made newspaper headlines was, upon the reading of his will, the fact that on a janitor's salary he had amassed an $8 million fortune. Everyone was stunned. This ordinary guy working a mundane job had amassed an $8 million fortune. The same could be said for a librarian at the University of New Hampshire who passed away in March of 2015 at the age of 77. He had worked at the library for nearly 50 years, and upon his death, it was revealed that he had amassed a $4 million fortune, and he left all of it to the university. Or how about Sylvia Bloom, a legal secretary who worked at the same law firm for 67 years, having started working with the law firm on February 24th, 1947. Now, she passed away in 2016 at the age of 96, and she left behind a $9 million fortune. Her niece, who became her executor, was absolutely astonished to learn that her aunt was so wealthy. Mainstream media and the general population were shocked, but not those individuals out there who know basic financial math and understand the power of compounding. So let's get into this and show you how it is possible to amass such fortunes on mediocre salaries. And once you fully understand the power of compounding, your brain will never be the same, and you will turbocharge your way to a lifetime of financial freedom. To fully grasp the concept of compounding, I'm going to give you 2 choices. The first choice you have is to work for $10,000 a day for the next 40 days. The second choice is that you can work for 1 penny on the first day and then double that amount each day for the next 40 days. So, which option would you choose? Well, obviously, if you were to choose the first option, you would receive $10,000 a day times 40 days for a grand total of $400,000. That's pretty sweet for just 40 days of work, right? And it sounds like you made the right choice. I mean, who in their right mind would opt out for 1 penny to start and then doubling that amount every day for 40 days? It would probably never amount to a hill of beans. It could never get close to 400,000. Or could it? Let's look at these 2 options and see how they fare. Here is the table showing the results for the first 10 days. As you can see, taking option 1 blows away option 2 during the first 10 days. Option 1 amasses a cool $100,000 during the first 10 days, while option 2 returns a measly $10.23. If you chose option 1, things are looking great for you right now. Let's look at the next 10 days, days 11 through 20. Option 1 is still way out ahead, but option 2 has suddenly awakened, having grown from just $10.23 for the first 10 days to now standing at $10,485.75. However, option 1 is still handsomely ahead, having returned $200,000 for the first 20 days. On to days 21 through 30. The tables have turned, and massively so. I even had to omit the last 2 digits of the currency because the numbers were getting so big. Option 2 has completely blown away option 1, with option 2 having amassed a total of $10,737,418. And we still have 10 more days to go. Okay, here are the final 10 days. Option 2 has completely obliterated option 1. Option 2 has totaled almost $11 billion. Although option 1 at the beginning seemed like a sure choice at $400,000 for 40 days, it now looks like a pittance next to the $11 billion that option 2 generated. Most people find it almost impossible to believe that 1 cent compounded at 100% per day would be worth almost $11 billion on the 40th day. But that's the power of compounding. And that's why people refer to it as the eighth wonder of the world. And the real magic happens when you apply the fantastic effects of compounding to the interest you get on your investments. The power of compounding is the key to achieving financial freedom. So now we need to learn a very important lesson. It's called the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72 is fundamental on your path to achieving financial freedom, because the Rule of 72 allows us to figure out how many years it takes for an investment to double in value, depending on a particular rate of compound interest. Here's how it works. Simply take the number 72 and divide it by the annual rate of interest. Here's an aside. This will give you an approximate answer, as the actual number to use is 72.73 to get an actually precise number. So we rounded off to 72 to make it easier for us to make the calculations in our head and to give us an approximate number, which is fine for our use. So let's take an example. Say you purchased an industrial warehouse for $2.5 million in an area where the values are going up 6% each year. So if that rate of growth stays constant moving forward, then how long would it take for the property to double in value? Well, to get the answer, we simply take the number 72 and divide it by the annual growth rate, which in this case is 6. So 72 divided by 6 equals 12. So it would take approximately 12 years for this property to double in value. Pretty easy calculation, eh? So now we have a basic understanding of the power of compounding and the Rule of 72. So let's get back to the janitor, the librarian, and the secretary. How did they get so wealthy? Well, to see how they did it, let's take a current example. There is a warehouse near where I live that's begging for jobs. The job is basically packing and shipping out supplies to customers, and they're offering to pay $30 an hour. Let's say an 18-year-old with no degree, no skills, decides to take them up on their offer. Let's also assume he works 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, with 2 weeks off for vacation. So he works a total of 2,000 hours each year. Now, 2,000 hours at $30 per hour is $60,000 per year. Let's say he saves 10% each year. So in his first year, $6,000 goes into his retirement account. Let's also say he gets a 7.2% return on his investment. And let's assume his income will grow at 2% per year and that he will retire at age 68. So how much would he have when he retires? Well, his first year, he puts away $6,000. It grows at 7.2% per year, so that $6,000 doubles in value every 10 years. From age 18 to 68 is 50 years. So if we divide 50 years by 10, it means there will be 5 doubles. Now, you could multiply 2 by 2, and then multiply that result by 2, then multiply that by 2, and then that result by 2 yet again. Or you can simply calculate 2 to the power of 5, both of which equal 32. So if we multiply that $6,000 by 32, we get $192,000. So what he saves the first year at age 18 becomes at the age of 68, $192,000. On to the second year. In the second year, he's able to save $6,120. Remember, his wages have gone up by 2%. But now he only has 49 years until the age of 68. So he will have only 4.9 doubles. 2 to the power of 4.9 is 29.86. If we multiply $6,120 by 29.86, we get $182,120. $175. So what he's able to save in the second year at the age of 19, at the age of 68, is worth $182,175. I'll just skip to the end result, just to make it simpler for us, and we don't have to go through each of the next 48 years. The end result is that he will have $3,640,318.03. So you can see, even a person with no skills working a warehouse job can amass a fortune. Now, think about this. What would happen if he was able to save 20% instead of just 10%? What would happen if he got more than a 7.2% return on his investing? And what if he did both? And that's what the janitor, the librarian, and the secretary all did. They saved more than 10%, and they invested at rates of return greater than 7.2%. So now the question becomes, if an 18-year-old with no skills and no education and working a warehouse job can amass a $3.6 million fortune, a janitor an $8 million fortune, a librarian a $4 million fortune, and a secretary a $9 million fortune, why doesn't everybody end up wealthy? Everyone should, for you can clearly see there's not much required to become wealthy. You just have to follow a certain game plan, and you can get there. The answer is that most people are living in the here and now. They're not thinking about the future. They are spending their money as soon as they get it, trying to keep up with the Joneses of the world. They don't realize that they are throwing their fortune away. Let's look at it this way. Say you gave your son or daughter at age 18 $5,000, and let's say they were able to invest it at a 15% rate of return. At 15%, the rule of 72 says that your investment should double every 4.9 years. So let's round that off to 5 years. If they hold on to this investment until the age of 68, this gives them a holding period of 50 years. 50 years to invest divided by 5 years for every double gives us a total of 10 doubles. And 2 to the power of 10 is 1,024. And that number that we calculate in this example is 1,024, is what I call your future financial factor, or FFF. $5,000 times our future financial number, 1,024, gives us a total of $5,120,000. Wow, just a little over $5 million for just investing $5,000 today. But most people never make this calculation. They just get the $5,000 and they want to spend it right away. They want to buy, some nice new clothes, go on a vacation, dine out at some fancy restaurants, go to the VIP section at bars, etc. So everyone needs to have the mindset as to not only what they're spending their money on today, but the future value of that money, which they can calculate using that future financial factor, or the FFF number. You need to know what kinds of returns you can get for your money and how many doubles you have left in your financial investing life. Let's say, for argument's sake, you can get a 10% return on your investments and you have 30 years left to invest. The rule of 72 says that we take 72 and divide it by 10, and we get 7.2 years for your investments to double in value. How many doubles do you have left? Well, you've got 30 years to invest, so 30 years divided by 7.2 years to double means you'll have 4.17 doubles. 2 to the power of 4.17 is 18, and therefore 18 is your future financial factor. So anything you invest in right now will be multiplied by 18. Let's round that off to 20 just to make calculations simple. So now every time you go buy something, multiply it by 20 and see if you're still willing to buy it. So your daily $7 cup of Starbucks coffee seems high, but you tell yourself, hey, I'm worth it. That $7 coffee multiplied by your future financial factor, which in this case is 20, is equivalent to $140 future value to yourself. Are you willing to spend $140 for that coffee? Or would you rather have that $140 for yourself down the road? Now, I'm not saying to give up Starbucks daily, but perhaps scale it back to maybe a couple times a week. That new must-have designer shirt you've been eyeing, it's a whopping $300, but it'll make you look so trendy. Well, that designer shirt is the equivalent to a future value of $6,000 to your future self. Are you willing to spend $6,000 to have that shirt? Those are the kind of thoughts you need to have going forward. That makes you aware of what it financially costs you to get things. And that's only with a 20 multiple. If you're young enough, the multiple could be as high as 1,024, as we've seen. And at that multiple, spending money today takes a huge toll on your net worth down the road. No matter what you do in life, knowing the power of compounding is very, very important and the key to becoming financially free. Remember, there are 3 factors in the power of compounding. The first factor is the length of time. The more time you have for your money to compound, the better your financial future will be. The second factor is the interest rate at which your money compounds, because this dictates the length of time it takes for your investment to double. And it's all about the doubles. And the third factor is you have to have the willpower to leave your investments alone. Now that you know and understand the power of compounding, every December you should sit down and figure out what your future financial factor will be for the coming year. Then use that number on a daily basis to calculate what it is you're buying and compare that to what that money's future value is to you. Then you can decide for yourself whether that's a good trade-off or not. And with the understanding now of the power of compounding, you now have uncovered another key on your path to financial independence.